Hanz Learnz, HTML.
Alright, so we got our basic page. I mentioned before, I'm just going to shut this down. Let me just, actually, let me open that again. Edit with Notepad. Now this is one way you can do it. You can open up an Internet Explorer and just hit Edit with Notepad. But if you're using another web browser, you won't have that option. Or on Mac, you won't have that option. So you might have to go in there and just hit, and then you're going to hit Open with, and then you might have to choose Notepad from there.
Choose Notepad.
Yeah, so choose a default program. You would have to you would have to browse and select it, and select Notepad. That's one way you can do it. But the easiest way to do it is just to let's open up an Internet Explorer and just hit Edit with Notepad.
That makes it so simple.
Yeah. So in here, anything that appears in that main window, the viewable part of the web page, has to appear between the body and the body tags.
Right.
And we just pasted some text in here. Now the problem with that, it's sort of just floating out there willy-nilly. And web browsers are very forgiving, so it displays the text. But the problem with that is that there's no way to now really format the way this text looks on the page.
What would it look like if you saved it?
So let's just save that and take a look again.
I see.
So you don't, even though in the code,
yeah, they're on separate lines.
They're
on the same line.
Yes. So that's where HTML will help us out. So let's jump into the HTML now and we'll see what we're doing. So File, Edit with Notepad. Let me just back up here. When I go View Source, you cannot edit this. This View Source only allows you to look at the code. You can't actually edit the code and save it.
You can look, but you can't touch.
Exactly. Easier to just go into Internet Explorer, hit Edit with Notepad. So what we're going to do now is learn a new tag.
P.
So we're going to close our tag. And P, of course, is short for paragraph.
Oh, paragraph.
So let me put
I know what that is.
A few paragraphs in there. Let's save it and see what it looks like. I'll just refresh.
Refresh. And through separate lines. I see. So the paragraph tag tells it to start a new paragraph.
Exactly. And by starting a new paragraph, it indents it. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's good. That's what it looks like in code, but I'll prove a point right now. So it's going to File, Edit with Notepad, and I'm just going to remove any spaces. So we'll save that.
So what's this going to do?
Let's put this here so you see it.
Right. Nothing happened.
Exactly, because how the code is laid out in the page, whether there's spaces or no spaces, etc., whether it's like this all squished together or like this,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is how you use your HTML tags to lay out all these things in your page.
No, isn't it going to make people write some messy code? I mean,
yeah, some people will write very messy code. So one of the things that makes a good web designer from a bad web designer is a good web designer knows how to write clean, structured code.
Right, so it should still look good.
Exactly.
I got it.
We were talking about clean code, and so I want to cover a couple quick little, I don't know, how should we describe it, nerd details here.
Nerds.
So one thing we've been looking at is how we have tags that are inside of or nested in other tags. So we have, for instance, this title tag is nested inside of these head tags.
Right.
One thing you got to do is you got to properly nest the tags.
You mean like eggs in a nest?
Exactly. So
you don't want them to fall out.
Exactly. So for instance, this title tag here, that's the opening, that's the closing. If it's inside the head,
right,
you got to be sure that the closing of the title tag is also inside the head.
Oh, I see.
It's like, for instance, let me just cut this out.
You don't want half of the eggshell outside of the nest.
Exactly. So it takes that. See, that's wrong.
Right.
Now that could cause some problems. Sometimes the problems are not obvious, and later on in the course, we may be able to demonstrate some more obvious problems that this could cause. But essentially, you just want to take away from this point of the video is that you don't want to improperly nest your tags. You want to make sure everything is properly nested.
The tags need to stick together.
Now, of course, the web browsers are very forgiving. They know that web designers can make mistakes, but it can cause subtle problems that could become major problems as your websites become more complex.
No, if I've paid for this video, then I want to learn how to do it right.
So we're going to cut that, we're going to paste that back so it just is properly done.
All right.
We'll save that. Next thing we're going to do is, well, let's learn another tag.
This is exciting.
Now
You can go up and build your own website now. This is great. Sorry.
So let's learn another tag.
Oh, this I know. I had the flu once. It was really bad, and that's the same name as it.
So this is the header tag.
Header.
And so it's H1, and there's 6 header tags: H1, H2, H3, H4. They represent headers, as in think of headers for headlines of newspapers.
Headlines, yeah, like a movie headline.
So let's just save that. We'll take a look at how that looks. Refresh.
It's big.
So the header makes text bigger.
It's the title.
Yeah, let's create another header, and we'll make it header 3. So header 3.
Is it going to be bigger?
What's the difference between header 1 and 3? We'll see what happens.
It's smaller.
So the way headers work is that header 1 is considered more important than header 3, so the browser makes it bigger on the page.
I see.
And of course header 4 will be less important than header 3, and so on. So this leads us to something else about HTML and HTML tags. HTML tags provide not just a structure for the page, but they provide a logical meaning to the page. So by having a header, you're telling the web browser that this is a headline text.
Right.
And by having a paragraph, you're telling the browser that this is a paragraph of text.
We're talking to the browser.
Same thing with the body. The body tag tells the browser this is the body of the document.
That's what should show up in the page.
And we were introduced to that earlier on, where we had HTML, where the HTML tag was telling the browser that this was the beginning of HTML code.
Okay, I get it. The browser's basically dumb. We need to tell it everything.
Exactly.
I got it.